Spider-Man.
Oh, no way! All of us are.
Universes are set to collide in the sequel to one of the best animated superhero movies out there, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. With all these different Spider-Men, Spider-Women, and even a few civilians and villains here and there, let's see who shines as a true hero. I'm Kyle with Wicked Binge, and this is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse characters, good to evil. Now, major spoilers ahead for both Spider-Verse movies. With that said, let's start with our most noble character and work our way down to the most evil. These characters are the good. For our gold medal of good, we have to give it to Pavitra Papakar, aka Spiderman India. He's an Indian version of Spider-Man from an alternate universe fusion of Mumbai and Manhattan, although he's only in the movie for a short amount of time, being the most inexperienced Spider-Man at only 6 months. He's already proven himself to be a good hero. He works together well with the other Spider-Men that have visited his universe, and just comes off as very friendly and positive in general, due to the fact that he hasn't had many tragic moments in his life as Spider-Man yet. We also see how well he works on his own, successfully saving an entire bus from falling off a bridge. Though he may not be the Spider-Man we spend the most time with, his lack of any lapses in morality or questionable decisions more than earn him the gold medal of good. Easily taking our silver medal of good, however, is the film's main focus, Miles Morales. While he's gotten a bit more mature and has gotten plenty of experience as Spider-Man since the first film, Miles is still very much a teenager and as such can be very rebellious. This usually involves sneaking around and lying, though the latter is primarily due to his secret identity. We should also point out that while we can understand why he fights back against them, Miles is still willing to potentially put the entire Spider-Verse at risk to save his father. It's up to the audience whether he's being a true hero who's unwilling to sacrifice anyone for the sake of satisfying some higher power, or if he's simply taking a careless and selfish risk. But if you ask us, Miles' more heroic moments easily overshadow any moments where he leans into his more rebellious side. Even when he makes mistakes, you know that he wants to do the right thing and that he's always going to fight for the people he cares about. Moving on to our bronze medal of good, we're giving it to Miles' parents, Jefferson and Rio Morales. They may not be perfect parents, but they're pretty great ones. The movie does, admittedly, have quite a bit of drama within the Morales family, but while you may sympathize with the characters, the bickering never gets to the point of being concerning. Jefferson and Rio, while stern at times, care deeply about their son and only want him to thrive. Though she is a bit clingy at first when they start talking about college, Rio still encourages Miles to follow Gwen, all while telling him to take care of himself and reminding him how much she loves her. Jefferson, meanwhile, while still trying to be a good father, is also shown trying to actually work with Spider-Man instead of against him, which is incredibly refreshing for a superhero story. But let's step away from figures of authority and take a look at someone who's all about anti-authority. Next is Hobart Hobie Brown, aka SpiderPunk. Being a punk rock hero from an alternate universe that is ruled by a totalitarian regime, he is all about going against the flow and fighting back against the establishment. He'll even rebel in small ways almost constantly, like stealing small things in the Spider Society's lab or verbally contradicting people whenever possible. In some ways, this can make him come off as a bit hostile and antisocial, but he actually turns out to be a great ally. In addition to warning Miles about the Spider Society, we also see him help Miles escape from his imprisonment. As for Gwen, not only does he let her crash in his dimension when she needs a break, but he also makes a homemade dimension-hopping watch for her, allowing her the means to gather her team and rescue Miles. All in all, in addition to being a talented hero in his own right, he just encompasses the most admirable parts of being punk, even if in exchange he doesn't always come off as a typical hero. Moving on, let's briefly mention the Spider Society's main tech support, that being Margot Kess, aka Spiderbite. Margot is yet another Spider-Woman who is able to be a superhero through a virtual reality avatar that she uses to help her escape from her family's arguing. Although we don't ever see her fighting off any baddies, it's Margot's tech that allows the Spider Society to send villains and anomalies back home to their original dimensions. Furthermore, when we see just how far OHara is willing to go for his mission, Margot decides to let Miles go home and later joins Gwen's team to help rescue him. Margot is simply a good person, and it's only her lack of screen time that causes her to fall to the lower end of our good tier. Now, someone who is perhaps a bit more complicated but is still good at heart is the film's secondary protagonist, Gwen Stacy. Despite all the drama in her life, Gwen is just a girl trying to do her best in her duties as Spider-Woman, even when it causes her to feel frustrated and alone. She's still a great hero, as we see when she fights the Vulture in the art museum. When things go wrong with her father, however, Gwen chooses to run away and join the Spider Society, fixing anomalies. This, unfortunately, causes her morals to slip a bit, as we see her lie to Miles about the Society and its mission, not quite knowing how to tell him the truth about it or his origins. But while it may take her a bit of extra time, Gwen does eventually realize her mistakes and start to fight back against OHara for Miles' sake. This turns into her gathering her own band to rescue him from Universe 42. And while we'll have to wait until the next film to see how this mission goes, with Gwen leading the way, we're pretty sure it'll be successful. Joining the rescue squad is our final member of the good tier, Peter B. Parker. He may have been a reluctant mentor before, but while he still may not always have all the answers or the most tact, Peter B. does still care a ton about Miles. Like Gwen, he doesn't fully reveal the truth at first, originally siding with OHara after believing it's how it has to be. But even as Peter B. is chasing Miles down, he's still trying to talk with him and find a way to stop Miles without hurting him. He also defends Miles against OHara and doesn't hesitate to join Gwen's team. The only thing we can knock him for is his choice to take his daughter, May Day, with him during missions. That just seems incredibly dangerous and irresponsible, even for a baby with spider powers. Now, before we get to the film's antagonists, let's quickly go over the characters who land somewhere in the moral gray area, not quite being a hero or a villain. First up, we have Jessica Drew, aka Spider-Woman. Within the Spider Society, we see her act as a sort of second in command to OHara, being awesome and incredibly skilled in her own right. Jessica tends to be a bit more optimistic than OHara, as well as a bit more willing to let certain spider people, namely Gwen, into their team. But while she'll give others a chance to do great things, Jessica is no pushover. She has her own moments of being stern, and she understands the importance of preserving the Spider-Verse. This results in her being on OHara's side for pretty much the entire film, joining him on his mission to preserve the canon. This is save for one scene, where she ultimately decides to let Gwen go on a rescue mission instead of capturing her. This shows that even she understands that OHara may be in the wrong, and we could easily see her fully making a turnaround within the third film. From second in commands to police captains, let's take some time to discuss Captain George Stacy, Gwen's father. Needless to say, this guy doesn't have the best first impression. He's introduced as the guy trying to hunt down and arrest Spider-Woman, and even when she reveals her identity, George is still unsure about Gwen's innocence and continues trying to arrest her. Thankfully, this seems to be a bit of a wake-up call for him, as when they meet up again, George is a bit more willing to hear his daughter out and support her role as Spider-Woman, even to the point of quitting the police force for her sake. Seeing him finally support Gwen and allow her to be a hero is just a great moment in the film, and while it can be a bit hard to forget him firing a warning shot at his own daughter, we're glad that he was able to turn things around. But you can't have a hero without villains for them to fight, so let's go over the movie's bad and evil characters. Just outside the film's bottom three, we have the Prowlers, aka Universe 42's Aaron and Miles. We only see these two briefly at the end of the film when Miles is accidentally sent to their universe, but while they only have a couple brief scenes, those scenes still manage to say a lot. We already know quite a bit about Aaron's methods as the Prowler, being willing to take out his targets by any means necessary, and given that Universe 42's universe doesn't have a Spider-Man and is seen as a much more dire and dangerous place, even if the Prowler ends up being more of a vigilante than a villain, we just can't see him being any less harsh in his methods. As for the other Miles, he immediately comes off as cold, especially when our Miles begs him for his help, seemingly not caring at all about the safety of his alternate universe dad. We won't know much more about these two until the third film, but given what we already know of them, they certainly seem like bad news. But while he may be a bit more old school than the Prowler's gadgets, the Vulture, who is getting our bronze medal of evil, still manages to be just as bombastic and dangerous. Hailing from a Renaissance-inspired universe, the first thing that this Vulture does when arriving in Gwen's dimension is attack an art museum. He doesn't seem to care much about putting civilians in danger or causing property damage, seemingly reveling in the latter and even casually tossing insults at the art itself. He's not a big character in the film, but he serves as a great mini-boss with an absolutely killer design. Our silver medal of evil is easily going to be the most divisive character in the movie, that being Miguel OHara, aka Spider-Man 2099. Described as a ninja vampire, OHara is the leader of the Spider Society society whose main goal is to protect the overall Spider-Verse, not wanting to see any more universes be destroyed under his watch. Unfortunately, this is a very heavy and very stressful goal, leading to OHara having quite a few anger issues, especially towards Miles. When Miles starts arguing about finding another way and rebelling against the canon, OHara goes all out trying to take him down, becoming enraged as well as incredibly violent and cruel at some points. While we may sympathize with his tragic backstory, the way he talks about Miles and calls him a mistake just goes way over the line. It's obvious that he's taking out his own self-hatred on Miles, but that's certainly no excuse. The same could be said about our gold medal of evil recipient, Dr. Jonathan On, aka The Spot. Once an ordinary scientist from Alchemax, the Spot not only turns to a life of crime after being given his superpowers, but he also decides to take his frustrations and trauma out on Miles. Once he discovers his true powers, Spot makes it his mission to not only become more powerful by any means necessary, but to also take away everything that Miles loves, starting with Miles' father, who Spot plans to kill. Whether he'll succeed or manage to turn over a new leaf, we'll just have to wait and see. But for right now, Spot remains as a selfish, vengeful, totally insane, and totally evil villain who needs to be stopped.